For tonight's homework, students are going to be thinking about both the tenths place and the hundredths place. And they're going to be using these area models. So you can see here, this area has been broken up into 10 equivalent parts. So this fraction will be able to fill in here. Then they're going to make the equivalents on the hundredth chart. So the amount and area that they shade should be exactly the same. Once they do that, they're going to show mathematically how they went from 4/10 to the equivalent hundredth. Students should use the denominator to help them. So thinking to themselves, how do I get from 10 whole to 100? I multiply by what value? Whatever value it is that they're multiplying by is the same value they're going to multiply the numerator by. So students should be able to solve both the area model and the number model. When students get to B, you see they've moved them around because the value that they're given is 100th. So they're going to use this area model that has 100, shading 60. They're going to shade the same area here and using the same mathematical understanding to get from one fraction to another. Again, they're going to use the denominator to determine what the value is, asking themselves, how do I get from 100 to 10 if I divide by? What do I need to divide by? That number there will also be the same value that they divide by in the numerator to find the matching value. The fraction they write here should match the amount shaded in the area. When students get to problem 2, they're going to complete the number sentences, so they're going to complete the 3 different forms and shade the equivalent amount in the area model. Now this has to draw horizontal lines to make hundredths. That's going to be challenging for students, but what they should do is they should draw to go from 10 into 100, they need to multiply by 10, which means they need to draw 10 lines across. Make 10 rows, meaning 9 lines. And they're probably not going to be perfect. I don't expect them to. I just want to be able to see that they understand how to go from tenths into hundredths. And they do that by breaking each unit into 10 more parts. So here they're going to see 36 hundredths. They should shade first. So the first thing they should do is shade. That will help them see the tenths and the hundredths. A good rule to understand is if they've shaded a whole row, that value is worth 1/10. One row is worth, as you can see down here, 1/10. These are equivalent. So when students do that, this will probably be able to help them see this. Then the decimal and fraction form. The fraction form they can always make out of 100. So how many total parts have been shaded from the 100? When they get to part B, they're going to do the same task. They're going to cut into hundredths, and they're going to shade 82 hundredths. And they're going to, again, say how many tenths. So looking back at this, they're going to see how many columns they've shaded. That number is going to go in the tenths. And then how many remaining squares they shade will be the hundredths. For part 3, I want them to do down here first. How many total hundredths are here? So they're just going to count this number of discs and write it there. I want them to do that first. After they do that part, I want them to circle the hundredths to compose a tenth. Students should know that 10 hundredths equal 1/10. So once they circle these 10, they're going to exchange them in for a disc that has a value of 1/10. They're going to use that number here and the hundredths number here. The last thing that they should do, and it's done for them in part A, is write the decimal. And then from the decimal, they're going to create the number bond. Same for part B. They're going to first count up all the hundredths. That number is going to go here. Then they're going to circle groups of 10. Anytime they circle 10 of the hundredths, they should exchange those in for one disc worth 1/10. For part 4, using the number discs like they did above, they're going to be able to use discs that are worth tenths and worth hundredths to represent each number. For this, students may first want to write the decimal. They'll be able to see the tenths and hundredths a little easier. So I'm going to do C because this one has a good example. So the first thing that they see is they see the decimal. They know that the fraction is 41 hundredths. By being able to see the decimal, I can think about place value. I see the 4 in the tenths place. So I need 4 discs, because that's the value, and the place is the tenths place. So each of the discs should have a value of 1/10. Then I see the 1 is in the hundredths place, so I know I need 1 disc because the digit is 1. The value, though, should be 1/100th. So how many hundredths that is, they can take the number right from the decimal and fill that in there. That's probably the easiest way for students to solve those.